Hello, I am here with Becky Robbins, humanitarian and visionary artist. Art is her passion. Becky is a pioneer in the personal development and coaching industry, and she helped to create a global empire for personal development. I'm so excited to have you here, Becky, to share your transformation of working together and learning this whole system of self-regulation, and just to share what you're up to and the beautiful things that are happening for you as a result, such as your art going to the moon. That's very, very exciting. And you can see her art in the background and what she's up to. So welcome, Becky. So happy that you're here.
Thanks, Julie. I always love looking forward to you and talking to you. And you look beautiful. Look at you.
Well, thank you. And right back at you. You look absolutely stunning. And so I'd like to just share the journey that you've been on with other people that might be listening to this. And a lot of people will come to me and they have particular challenges. And so if you could just maybe share some of the challenges that you were facing before you and I actually started working together.
Well, what's interesting is that I was having dinner with some very dear friends, Ariel, Ford, and Brian, and we're talking about like State of the Union things going on, which I don't like to talk about. But they're saying like, meditation isn't quite cutting it anymore. It's not. I love, and I'm a meditator. So we're saying like, there's just something else that we've added into our daily practice that's really making a difference. And they told me about you, Julie. And I, when they said like, there's she's a coach and everything, I felt like, because I have felt like, oh my gosh, everybody's, there's a drama coach and a divorce coach and a marriage coach and a this coach and everything. So I was a little reticent. And then I saw Ariel's interview with you. I mean, she said it to me and said, like, I think you should really take a look at this. Here's the other thing is that many years ago, several years ago, I was introduced to heart math. I read Doc Childress' book, and I got to had the privilege of being invited to go up there and meet him a couple of times. And he said something really paramount to me that has affected me for a long time. And I recall it, and I'm glad I'm recalling it right this minute. But I was saying like, I was thinking of writing a book at the time, and it was before I was even painting or anything like that. And I said like, I don't know, like if I should even do it. Like I keep having roadblocks, and I feel like, like the world doesn't need another book, And he said, you are a perfect example of inverted ego. Like thinking that's like the trick your ego plays on you, that you don't need it because the world doesn't need another coach, or the world doesn't need another book, or an artist, or any of that. So that has impacted me. And I decided to call you and sign up for coaching, even though I felt like, we invented coaching. Now I'm going to get a coach.
You did. You were the inventor of coaching, basically.
Well, there was like one guy before us that had like a coaching school or something. And then we started this whole, became really involved in the beginning of the industry. So when I talked to you though, Julie, I felt like, wow, there's something else here that I could benefit from. And Ariel hadn't told me anything. So I learned it all from you in the very beginning. And I remember telling you like, here are the things. Here's my true confessions, is that I was just going through so much. I was involved in a project, and the project wasn't working out like I wanted it to. People weren't delivering on their promises, and I felt like I had to. And I just had so much stress that I hadn't felt before, like stress in my guts, stress in my and I couldn't sleep well, and I was unraveling a little bit, and I thought like, oh my gosh, that's one thing. And then I was like thinking like, for the first time in 20 years, oh my gosh, maybe this is a relationship prospect that could be good for me, and it wasn't. And I mean, I got so much benefit right from the very beginning of using the sensor and doing the regulatory practice. I just call it my practice now, because it's not my meditation practice. And everything that I've learned from you first starts with sitting down and doing my practice with the sensor and my the inner balance on my phone. And oh my gosh, I do it because I love it, and I do it because I have to. That a
Yeah.
short answer.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you say I do it because I love it and I do it because I have to. And what we've explored during this time is that when you do it, your life is so much better. Is that you feel better, you're self-regulating, your nervous system is better. And so when you and I first started working together, you mentioned a couple of things and just the stress that you were feeling and the tiredness and the business relationships that were or were not happening. And what we've discovered as you go through this is that it was all such an internal journey. And so, can you talk a little bit about that? And because you've had some major shifts internally, which in turn shifted what was happening externally for you.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say, and I've said this to you before, but I want to make this really clear, is that I was so, and still am, so interested in the science about this. Like when you're telling me that this, you being in coherence and you having the consistency, and like an investment term, consistency compounds, that is really true. And so when I say I love it and I need it, it's because of that. I mean, things get better as I keep on doing, and it changes. And you were mentioning, I have a history of being in medicine long, long ago. And when you're telling me like this helps your endocrine system, your neurological system, your digestive system, every system, it helps to improve it. And then you're showing me graphs. I was like, wait, I want to see that one. I want to be able to look back at that one, like the one where the heart is like going like stair steps up to the brain. Your heart is informing your brain. And all those things are in my head before I begin to do my practice, before I hook up to everything. I think about that and then I start the process. And you also told me this, you said, and you taught me why, because I always want to know the why. And you said, because things can start coming to you instead of you having to go out and try and make things happen. Things are going to start coming to you. And so much is coming to me right now. Even when I don't talk to you for a few days, it's like, oh, I have so many new things that are amazing, that are happening. I mean, it's crazy. And I could be more specific if you want. I mean, one of the things that happened without me doing anything about it was I found out, I just somehow I got an email about this, that my art is being sent to the moon, meaning that I was interviewed like this, but a whole day of interview by this amazing team from Australia came here in my studio and in my place, and we talked for the whole day, and they interviewed me here and videotaped it all for a television series that they were producing. And they have several artists and then other people like musicians and some books and things, and they're putting all of these. A physicist decided to put these in a time capsule that, I know, nickel plated or something, that's going to the moon in one of 3 different lunar landing modules powered by a rocket, a Viper rocket that Elon Musk won the bidding war for, the one that's going up in November of 2023. So my art is going to be on the moon. I didn't even try for that. I wouldn't have even known how to ask somebody, hey, by the way, could you do that? And I'm having business opportunities come to me that are spectacular, and they're in alignment with what I believe is the most important thing to me, which is also why I paint, is that it comes through me and then it's got messages embedded in it and a feeling embedded in it and stories and connection, that we're all connected, and all that just is completely different than before I started with you. So I've told so many people about you. I'm always calling you saying, okay, here's another person to contact, send your information, because I want everybody to be able to feel like I feel and have the advantage of doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. And one little thing too that I'm just going to mention is, people might be hearing that and saying, well, wait a minute, she's not doing anything. How did this happen? You actually are doing something, but what you're saying, just as a distinction, is that you're not going out and doing it. You're not pushing it. You're not making things happen and forcing them to happen. What you've done is you've got centered, aligned inside of your thoughts and your heart. Your heart is coherent, your brain is coherent. You are living by your passion, and your life by design is what's happening. And when we as human beings get coherent, when we move out of stress, anxiety, worry, no sleep, we're in that incoherent state. you've aligned completely. And when you're aligned in coherence, that's when we begin to attract things to us. And so what you're sharing, for anybody that's out there saying, well, is this woo woo? It's all backed by science, which is the cool thing about it. And so it's just so beautiful to hear how you shifted your physiology, you shifted your mindset, you aligned yourself, and all these beautiful things are happening. And it's a real testament, because I always say to people, when you come in, you're going to learn the tools, and the proof is going to be in your life. It's going to be how you show up in your life. So really beautiful.
So true. And the thing about consistency, and you said even when I'm on vacation, I went on a scuba diving trip in Indonesia, and I haven't been diving for many years. And so like the first day, doing a checkout dive, and like, can you still take off your mask under the sea, and can you buddy breathe with someone, and take out your regulator and give it to someone, and all of that. It wasn't like a restful vacation. I was every day like up early and doing that, but it became, since I've already established my continuity and had the results that I was getting by my practice, which I at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, and twice a day while I was on vacation, because I needed to ground myself and get coherent again, because diving is not, I tried to get coherent under the water. And what I did do was, I have a document that I've been working from while I meditate. And I want to say one other thing, remind me, put a pin in the word meditate.
Okay.
And I felt like I needed to get back, here I was in the ocean, and before that I'd been in the air for 17 hours, and I needed to get grounded back into my body, back into that coherent state. And here, back to that, what I just said, is you told me from the very beginning that when you get coherent, you do it for however long. I like to do it for like 12, 15 minutes. And then you turn that off, and you can go into like a Joe Dispenza meditation on YouTube, or even if you don't, you fall into a deep meditation. And that still is just amazing to me. It's like a feeling I've never had before, that depth of just like falling deeply into a meditative state. And I know how powerful that is for my health and well-being and everything.
Becky, are you able to get into that state with your eyes awake or open, and in a waking state? Can you get into that just peaceful, blissful, coherent feeling?
Yes, because for my whole practice, while I'm doing the breathing, I'm reading through this document that I sent you. There's just like who I am. Yeah. And like I am that I belong here. I'm one of a kind. I'm made of God, and I create magic in every area of my life. And when I know it deeply in my heart, I get the green. I'm in the green. I'm in the green.
That's the biofeedback, right?
Yeah, and if I get distracted by something, or if I allow myself to get distracted by something, I get the feedback again that I'm not there, and go back into my heart. I love that, because now, and you've shown me that my history now, I'm getting better and better and better at being in that state. And I was in LA last week at a very stressful 3 days worth of business brainstorming. And I would go to the guest room and go do my coherence practice. And it helped me so much be able to calm down into that place of power again. And while my eyes were open, keep stay in that sense. And it was amazing what was happening. They were saying to me, I'd go back out and sit down with my computer on my lap, and we'd be like machine gun of ideas and stuff. And I was just right there, and they were commenting on like, wow, you've got infectious energy. You are so amazing to be around. Like it was just, I was just being.
You being your authentic true self. And that's, I always like to say, we're human beings, we're not human doings. And we mistake that we got to do. And you're really demonstrating that the way that you're being and showing up is allowing things to be attracted to you. And so, there's probably a lot of business people that may be watching this interview right now. And so talking about an intense business meeting and going and shifting and self-regulating and resetting, did you notice that when you were coming back in that business meeting, did you notice that your brain was more clear, that you were able to make decisions faster, be more creative? What was the advantage from a business standpoint?
Well, I must have been, because people stopped and listened to everything I had to say. I mean, it was, and I know that the feeling I had was different. The feeling that I'm in my power, but in like this soft, subtle way where I know who I am, and I know I have that certainty. I have that intuition about, the group dynamic and how to be a good leader of that. And I mean, at the end of the meeting, even at the beginning of the meeting, but by the end of the meeting, the guy who wrote the book that I'm going to help spearhead for him, by the way, when he asked me out of the clear blue, things don't happen that way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like a couple weeks ago, and he asked me to read part of it when I was visiting. I did. It came back to him after reading like maybe 30 pages of his book. And he said, "What do you think?" And I started telling him what I thought, which I do love the book. I think it's a great project. And then he said, stopped me. He said, "Would you be the CEO of this project and help me make this into a movement, like a global movement?" And I said, I said, "Listen, I'm not qualified, Ethan, to do this." And then I said, "And I really don't have enough time." I came back home and I reevaluated that, because when I started with you and I was within this former project, which is could be an amazing project if someone could spearhead it and have everybody be on the same page of delivering on their deliverables, which I keep my word. And that, as soon as I let go of that, which was just before my trip to Indonesia, I just somehow it just evaporated in the most amazing way. I felt so liberated when I left, and I came home to this. And then he asked me a second time, and after having let go of the other, and he asked me again, I said yes. And I feel completely capable of doing that. And his wife is who called you about wanting to get involved with what you have to teach her. So the other last thing I want to say about that whole subject is, there's so much chaos in the world right now, and chaos in our minds. And I think I'm in control of that, because I refuse to participate in that. I refuse to participate in worry and fear. And and that was part of when I found you. That was one of the conversations that we were having when they were talking about you. It's just like, oh, the world's so terrible and it's going to get worse and worse. And, I'm unwilling to go there, because then I'm participating in that. And I know how powerful we all are, how powerful, especially you are when you're in your coherent state, that what I'm thinking is happening so fast. And it's all good now, because I'm refused to participate in the other. Like, I'm getting phone calls. So would you be on this live? I've been asked if I'd be a contributor to a financial television station on a regular basis. I'm not in finance, and they want me to be a regular commentator, like once a week. I mean, that's not even my business, but I could be capable of that. So, delivering this kind of information to people in general. So,
Wow, you're showing up in a whole different way. And I really want to highlight a couple things that you just said is, I'm not going to participate in the fear and the chaos anymore. And that's where you were in the past, and having that realization. Fear and chaos activates the fight or flight. It activates the sympathetic nervous system. And that's where we go into the stress and the anxiety. And it's just this continuous loop between the head and the heart and the body. And you interrupted that loop, and you made a commitment. And in that commitment, you're staying true to yourself. You're staying true to what you do as a visionary artist for humanity, and you're fully aligned. And I think what's so beautiful about it, Becky, is you have that awareness, and you shift and you reset, and you shift and you reset, and you stay committed to who you are and your values. And don't care if you don't have the qualifications because of who you're being. You're being a spokesperson for light and love and humanity and for the goodness in the world. And boy, we sure can use this right now. So just blessings to you and what you're doing and what you're committed to, and really showing up to do the work. And there might be several people listening to this right now that might say, well, I want what Becky has. And they might be saying, well, what do I have to do to get that? Like, how long does it take? So can you share how often did you practice? How long did it take? How long were we together? Because it was pretty quick how you got these results.
Sure. I mean, first of all, my belief is that all of us are expanding. The universe is expanding. Everything's expanding. If you're not, it's painful because you're behind the 8 ball or whatever you want to say you're behind. I know that when I'm running up against a whole bunch of resistance and I don't feel well, and I can blame it on the full moon or the news or whatever, but I'm the only one who can be in control of that. And I have to keep moving forward. I have to keep advancing in what I'm learning and what I'm then applying into my life. Otherwise, that's another stress. If I'm constantly reading another book, another tape, another YouTube video, and then I'm not doing the practice, it's almost, I'm not going to say it's worse than if you didn't do it, because I think there's something that plants a seed in there somewhere. But I do know, I first got the phrase about consistency compounding when I went to my trainer to work out, and he'd written it on a whiteboard for somebody, like if you have a penny and you invest it, by day 2 you have 2 pennies, but by the end of the month you have something like $1 million or something. It's absurd if you just keep compounding. If you keep that, like, don't take the money out, just let it compounding. And that phrase has stuck to me for so many reasons, and that's why I kept doing it. Also, meeting with you and talking with you, and you adding more. There's a little place on the feedback form that says, like, oh, what do you want your coach to teach you this next week? And it's like, I don't know, more. I want more science. Like, keep telling me that, because the more reasons I can understand what's really happening to me. And one of the things I do when I'm in the practice, with my sensor and all of that, and when I'm sitting there in that chair and reading my document unto myself again, and in that space, and then I move into like a blessing space of sending from my heart directly into the heart of like each of my children and my grandchildren and people that I love and people that I used to love. I'm doing that too. And I mean, wow, it's like, it's really incredible what's happening in my life. I mean, really incredible. And it's who I'm being. It's, and I'm happy about this, because I feel like I'm in control of something that I'm not, that the only way to be in control of something is from the inside out. That's what's wrong. We're all trying to blame somebody and somebody's trying to fix stuff. And, I was for a long while, especially in these last couple of years. So I'm wishing I'd had this 2 years ago, but I'm glad I have it now and didn't have to wait any longer to get into this place, because I'm really having fun now. And I know that every single thing I'm doing has impact. I'm not doing anything frivolous. I'm really enjoying why I feel like I'm here, because I've always been involved in something that's either personal development or then going deeper and deeper into things that I feel are more deep soul stuff, but then it shows up on the outside of what are you doing. And I could tell by looking at my art. When I look at my art from several years ago, even on my website, it's so different what I'm doing now. It's crazy. So in every area that there's stuff like that.
So beautiful. And would you say that you spent maybe 10 minutes a day or 2 hours a day practicing the actual technique? Like when you sit down and practice it, how long would it take you on average?
Well, like I said, I try and I don't try, but I think of things to get myself into that coherent state. Maybe it's kind of like cheating, because the minute I turn the sensor on, and do the regulatory process, I want to already be there and not be attempting to get there once I turn it on. So that's been helpful. So maybe I spend 2 or 3 minutes doing that. And then I push go, my sensor on on the app. And at least 12 or 14 minutes, I look at my phone to see what time it is. And then I don't look again for, until I just keep going, and then I'll look at it and be like, oh, 14 minutes, maybe I'll give it till 15 minutes. But I don't ever go less than like 12 minutes because I want the benefit from it. And I want that amazing feeling that happens when I turn it off and I go into meditation, or I go like straight into a dispensa. And that's like 12 minutes. The one that I like the most is like 12 minutes. It's so amazing and I love it. And it's working. Oh my gosh. I mean, so I'm trying to figure out how to schedule all my blessings,
That's a good problem to have. How to schedule all my blessings. That's a really good problem to have. Yes.
So that's about, and if I can do it in the afternoon, I love doing that. It's like, I live by the ocean and I like to go walk on the beach at sunset, and the days are getting a little bit shorter. So if I can squeeze in another 10 minutes in the afternoon, it's back to the compounding, of the benefits.
So not very long at all to get these kind of beautiful results. So great.
And I used to spend on Instagram or something. I mean, I don't really, but you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And have you noticed any other relationship shifting, like maybe with your children or other loved ones?
My daughter sent me a message the other day. She's an actor, and they just needed to uproot the family and relocate them to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Big deal. A 3-year-old and a 7-year-old had to put them in a whole new school, the whole thing. And during the whole time of her making these decisions, I didn't say anything. I had no opinion because I was glad that they were leaving LA. But I didn't, if she asked me, I would say something to her. But she didn't ask me. She mostly just was doing what she was doing, and she and her husband are figuring it all out, which is a new thing. And then I got a text from her yesterday saying, I feel so seen by you. Like, thank you so much. I feel so seen and supported by you. And that's because that's what I was doing. Like while I was in that coherent state, sending like really feeling and like my heart be connected to her heart, and sending her and her husband and each of the kids and my son's the great diaspora of Becky Robbins family happening right now, because my son left California and moved to Nashville with his 2 little girls and wife. So there's pretty perfect timing that I started with you when normally I would be devastated. And my brother died in December. I mean, life has happened, it's not just been yay, Becky and all of her blessings, it's been that. And then, thinking like, maybe this is the beginning of an amazing relationship that at the very beginning, when I told you, like, here's some of my issues. And then I realized things are happening for me. Thank you for saying that, because it made a huge difference, rather than to me, and shifted it immediately for me. So
you navigated some pretty choppy waters.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine moms that are listening to this, to have their children say, I feel seen by you, is just you showing up, really. It's you being fully and completely present and there for people, not in your head thinking about what you want to say or your own agenda. You're really there for them in a loving, beautiful, coherent way.
Yeah.
So beautiful, Becky. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with me. And it's just been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And, you're up to some really, really big things. And people might say, well, I want to go check out her artwork. I remember I shared your artwork with another friend of mine who I've introduced you to. And she said, I don't know what it is about her artwork, but boy, does it touch something deep, deep inside of me. And your artwork is absolutely stunning. And so if people want to go check out your artwork, where can they go to look at it?
It's my name, BeckyRobbins.com.
All right. And
I'm on Instagram and all of that. Instagram is like everything Becky, because like I said in the beginning, I was everything Becky. I want to do everything. I want to try everything, and I can't be good at everything, but I'm interested in this life we get to have the blessing of living and being a part of.
Your energy is contagious, Becky. I mean, just wanting to be part of everything and wanting to explore life with such enthusiasm and love and beauty and character that you have. It's very contagious. So
Oh,
thank
thank you.
you. Yeah, thank you for shining your light and shining it bright in a big, big way and taking the time to do this interview. So if other people are looking at this and saying, wow, this is something that I'd really like as well, please reach out, coreperformance.us. You can take a look at what we do there. And Becky, I look forward to staying in touch with you. You're such an inspiration, and just thank you.
I want to say one last thing to you, Julie.
Yes.
And I want it because it's on my document and you just referred to it. But one of the things is I am an intrepid explorer of life and the beneficiary of the majesty of my creator. And I believe that you were part of that majesty. So thank you so much.
Mhm. You're welcome. And thank you, Ariel Ford.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you for putting us together.
See you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.